All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Run Good Lifestyle. My name is Alan Wentz, and I am super, super stoked to have with us today someone that is top of their field. And more I read, the more I hear. It's just an amazing journey that he has been on getting here. And I know that this is going to be very informative and just an overall great experience. So it's the person that I'm talking about is Dan Brulé. Dan is widely recognized as one of the world's leading experts in breathwork. He's worked with elite athletes, Navy SEALs, top performers, and practitioners all over the globe. And his work has helped thousands of people transform their health, their focus, and basically just their overall life quality. So without any further ado, let's welcome Mr. Dan Brulé.
Hey, Alan.
Good welcome, Dan. How are you?
Hey, if I was any better, I'd have to be twins.
That's great. Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much. As I talked with you a little bit before we got on, this is really special to me, and I really appreciate that you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us and my subscribers. I know this is going to be great. Like I told you, I've just recently gotten started with the breathwork, and it's really changed my life. So I'm super excited to hear more and dive a little deeper, and just let this meeting sort of flow as it goes. So I guess first of all, for the people that don't know you and are meeting you for the first time, how do you describe who you are and what is the work that you actually do?
Yeah, well, I'm a missionary for the breath. I'm a fanatic about breathing. It's my whole life, one form or another, in one way or another. The spirit of breath kept picking me up by the scruff of my neck and sticking my nose into people and places and situations. And so, yeah, my passion, my purpose is helping people to unlock the power and the potential of breath work, how to use their breath for stress, for anxiety, for performance, for energy, for relaxation, for spiritual connection, you name it. The breath is, for me, the breath is like the quintessential example of something that's literally right under your nose. You take it for granted, you overlook it, you underestimate it, and yet it turns out to be one of the most powerful things that there is. And I've been teaching breath work long before it was a thing. But for the last decade, 10 years, it's been the leading trend in wellness globally for 10 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, everybody from Hillary Clinton to Oprah to you name it have jumped on the breathwork bandwagon in the last 10 years. And for me, it's like, duh, about time. 50 years ago, I felt like a voice crying out in the desert. And even in the military, breathing, schmeathing, meditation. And right now, thanks to the science and so many studies and influencers and celebrities and athletes and others pitching the benefits of breath work, it's an easy sell. And for me, it's like, hey, it's about time, long overdue as far as I'm concerned.
Right. I agree. And like I told you, it's really helped me. I just really was starting breathwork in the morning, and then I fell into your content and started using it in other aspects, which we'll get into later. But what was the moment or period that set you on the path for this dedication to breathwork?
It's just like these miscellaneous, seemingly random, but as a little kid in kindergarten, in Catholic school, and having the priest talk about the book of Genesis and how God breathed into the nostrils of man and, formed the body of man from the dust of the earth. I don't know, there was something so exciting about that God is breathing into me. Like, why isn't everybody excited? The next breath of literally God coming into me, like, wow. So, there was kind of a spark. And then I can't tell you, I was the kid in the schoolyard organizing breath holding competitions and hyperventilating and squeezing each other till we passed out. And I've always been, I had so many near drowning experiences. I lost count how many times I got the wind knocked out of me growing up as a kid. And then my first job was an x-ray technician. And so I'm literally x-raying people's lungs and I'm telling them, take in a deep breath, hold your breath. I take their picture. I learned CPR when I was in x-ray school, 19 years old. And the first time I resuscitated somebody, oh my God, it was like a freaking miracle. You come upon somebody who's clinically dead and their lungs are fixed and dilated and you blow into them and they blink and wake up like, oh my God, who wouldn't want to do this every day of your life?
Right.
And I started thinking maybe, when you love what you do, the universe gives you lots of opportunities to do it. So I'd be in a restaurant, somebody chokes on food. I'm on an airplane, somebody has a heart attack. I'm at the beach, somebody's drowning. I was constantly having to come in and rescue. And so maybe I'm bad luck. You should stay away from me.
Yeah, I mean, you're not here with me. You're not here with me. I'm a little nervous. Well, over the years, you've worked with people from all walks of life, and what have you consistently seen breath work change in them?
Yeah, well, every emotional state, every psychological state, every physiological and chemical state has a corresponding breathing pattern, an associated breathing pattern. I mean, the way you breathe when you're upset and angry and afraid is different than how you breathe when you're relaxed and calm and peaceful. When your state changes, your breathing pattern changes. And so the magic, the power is it's a two-way street. I change my breathing pattern and I can influence and change my emotional state, my psychological state, my physiological state. And breathing is a behavior. And so how you breathe, that behavior, which is a primal behavior, determines your chemistry. It determines the quality of your thoughts, your emotional tendencies, your psychological states. And so it's like putting, now you got your hands on mastering yourself.
Yeah, the life itself, the steering wheel of life.
Literally the life urge.
Right.
And so, I'm into transformation. I think what's the maximum potential? Let's go for that. Even if we fail miserably, I just had a friend, hey, let's decide that let's do $10 million in revenue this year. And even if we fail miserably and only accomplish 10 or 20% of that, we've made $2 million.
Yeah, you've done well. Yeah.
Yeah, when you focus on your breath, you're kind of aiming for the ultimate, but along the way, all kind of cool things happen, and they're all good. When you control your breath, you're controlling your heart rate, your blood pressure, your pH balance in your body. You're controlling circulation of blood. I mean, oh my God, it's a way to really master your life, whatever that is.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it in me. So I mean, on a very small scale. I mean, I feel like I'm just tip of the iceberg with this. So I'm super excited. I started this journey. Before I get to my next question, I want to give you a little background. I play poker and I travel and I play poker. And I noticed as I aged, I'm not on my A game, at as long as I used to be. And so I started diving into reasons why, and sleep, and there was just a bunch of reasons. But I fell onto this breath work, and relaxation at the table, saving energy by relaxing at the table. I guess that's where it started with me, and I've gotten a little deeper into it, and I don't play as much as I do anymore, but I know a lot of friends of mine and people that actually are following on this are poker players, and they struggle with the same thing. And I'm not in any way monetizing any of this for me. So I know you have some stuff that you have available that I have not got into yet, but we can talk about that later. But that's sort of a backstory about how I got involved in this. And if one question I really wanted to get to, if someone understood only one thing about breath work, what do you think people get wrong or maybe even completely overlook? Because when I try to talk to them about it, they're like, they don't get it. Or if they try it once, they say, it doesn't work for me. Well, I've listened to your answer on this, and I want my listeners or subscribers to hear it.
Yeah, well, breathwork starts with awareness. If you just approach breathing as a mindfulness practice, as a way to just be present, be focused, be conscious, be aware, that in itself, because breathing is happening in the present moment. And when you tune into the sensations of the breathing and you regulate your breathing in a nice, slow, deep sort of pace, you're already, all kinds of things are already happening. The more conscious I am of my breathing, the more conscious I am of my posture, my thoughts, my feelings, my reactions. The more aware I am of my breath, the more aware I am of everything. So as a mindfulness practice, meditation, we shouldn't have to sell meditation anymore. People should know that every peak performer, anybody who's ever comes, they meditate.
Right. In some manner.
Yeah, on one way or another.
Right.
Call it mindfulness practice, And so breathing is that direct route to mindfulness. Right. And it has all these added benefits. So for example, that's I love poker. If I wasn't teaching breathing, I'd be living in a poker room. I'd be living in a poker room in the back of a pool room, because I'd be playing pool and playing poker. So
I love both of them. Maybe we'll trade some coaching.
Yeah. And so, for example, I have a good friend, Peter Litchfield, who's got mindful physiology, and he's all into capnography, like capnometry, measuring CO2, because CO2 is a volatile acid. And that means it directly affects our pH balance. So if you overbreathe, you're blowing off too much carbon dioxide, which causes like vasoconstriction. It means the blood's not getting to the brain. It could, so if you hyperventilate, if you overbreathe, and most people do when they get anxious, I'm exaggerating, but there's that urge is happening. So that's already causing cognitive deficits, because if you can't think clearly, because your breath is literally constricting, when you blow off carbon dioxide, all the microvessels constrict. When you get tolerant of carbon dioxide, then all those microvessels dilate. And so there's one thing I would just try to get people clear about right off the bat is there's a lot of hype around breathing. Deep breathing super oxygenates your cells. Well, our blood is already saturated with oxygen, 98%. What's 1% more going to do? Really.
Right. Really I wondered about that. You brought up a good point, because that's why I started doing it in the mornings, and I'm like, I don't know that I don't understand the reasoning. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
So how does oxygen get to the brain? How does oxygen get to the cells and feed the muscles and the tissue? Carbon dioxide is the trigger for that. And so and so when you regulate your breathing, you're actually regulating your chemistry. And so it's a no-brainer to just slow your breathing down, get your breath into the belly, make it more efficient, more bang for your buck, you could say.
Right.
Don't use accessory muscles, neck muscles, shoulder muscles. Those aren't breathing muscles. So, just approach breathing with this idea of efficiency and economy, and equality.
Right.
So that means
go ahead.
pay attention. So that's the key. Notice how you're breathing when you're stuck in traffic, when you're nervous, when you're excited, when you're having an orgasm, when you're trying to solve a math problem, when someone's insulting you. That's the moment. Those are the times when being conscious of your breath is how you navigate all those periods, how you keep your center. You don't get pushed and pulled by miscellaneous urges or passing feelings and sensations or sudden fears and concerns. You've got an anchor. You've got a solid axis, a North Star, and you stay oriented to that. So breathing keeps us grounded. It keeps us in a good flow state. It keeps our chemistry balanced. And so paying attention to your breathing, that's where it all starts. Just notice how you're breathing, and then you make whatever corrections are just normal, logical, makes sense. If you're breathing too fast, slow down. If you're holding your breath, take a couple of breaths.
Yeah, that's one thing that
Yeah.
when I listen to you, I forget what I've listened to so much of your content, but I can't remember where I saw it. But I didn't realize how often I stopped breathing. Like at the poker table, I'll be sitting there thinking, and I'm like, all of a sudden, like, I'm not breathing. What's the deal here? And
Yeah.
once I got that back in that routine, I calmed down. I was able to make better decisions, and I now know why golfers, especially that I listen to, that when they get in real high intense moments under pressure, their biggest thing is try to control their breathing, and never really made sense to me until I was sitting at the poker table not breathing. I'm like, oh, I get it. I get it. So that brings me to something that you brought up that I really can identify. I have two boys that really struggle with anxiety, and I'm trying to work with them a little bit. But you brought up a statement about anxiety, about the 3 threads of anxiety, and I was wondering if you could explain that a little bit. So I'm trying to help my boys with this, and I know that that's a big deal with everybody these days. Anxiety is a real problem, mental health.
Oh yeah, I mean, anxiety, it's a physiological thing. I mean, chemistry, it's affecting heart rate and blood pressure and all kinds of stuff. It's an emotional thing, obviously. It's a psychological thing. So yeah, that model that you mentioned comes from Robert Gerzon, psychotherapist. He's retired now, from the Boston area originally. And his book was called Finding Serenity in the Age of Anxiety.
I want to write that down.
Yeah,
Okay,
Finding Serenity in the Age of Anxiety, Robert Gerzon. And that book was 25 years ago by now, a long time anyway, a lot more than that, I guess. And so he understood anxiety as being comprised of 3 chords, and those 3 threads that form the cord of anxiety. One is called natural anxiety. You get a promotion at work, you're on a first date, you're about to lift off on a ski jump, you're about to jump out of an airplane with a parachute. You should be feeling anxiety. I mean,
right.
If not, there's something wrong with you. That's fuel. That's energy to perform. It's natural anxiety. It's healthy. And we don't want to be frightened by those feelings, because that's aliveness. It's pure aliveness. So if somebody feels anxious, I love this Harvard cognitive reframing thing. You feel anxious, you say out loud 3 times, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. That's it. Because that's what anxiety is. It's just aliveness. Now you have to channel it. You have to be conscious of how you react to it and respond to it. So natural anxiety, beautiful, pure. Then there's something called toxic anxiety. This is caused by that voice in our head. How can I be so stupid? I don't think I can make it. I never get it right. What's wrong with me? Everybody else is doing okay. I'm not, blah, 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 blah. That causes anxiety, but it causes what Robert would call toxic anxiety, not natural anxiety. You have to identify there.
That's the danger. That's the dangerous anxiety. Like good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. That's the dangerous bad anxiety.
Yes, and there we can interrupt. We can intervene. We can reframe. We can change our focus. We can change our self-talk. You can shake off any tension that's accumulated in you. So you can deal with that. And lots of ways to deal with it. The third thread is what he called sacred anxiety. And sacred anxiety is caused by these big questions in life. Who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? What happens when I die? These big questions in life, they create a deeper kind of anxiety, this existential kind of anxiety. So, and that's a beautiful thing. Now your nature, life is causing you to think about things and align yourself with certain values and principles, because when you're out of alignment with those, you're uncomfortable. You're anxious.
For sure.
So that's his model. The 3. And so when you when you deal with anxiety, you got to unravel those 3 threads and deal with each one in the way that they're meant to be dealt with.
Do you have certain breath techniques that you suggest for each of those threads, or is there something that works? Is that something you can share, or is that something that
definitely. So we have short-term, get through the momentary situation, and we have long-term things, right? So for anxiety, if you're dealing with anxiety, the anti-anxiety breath is low and slow. That is breathing with your diaphragm, breathing into your belly, and slowing your breathing down.
Is that like box? Is that what they call the box?
If you do box breathing, inhale, pause, exhale, pause, inhale, pause, exhale, pause. If you do, say, 4 seconds, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds pause, 4 second exhale, 4 second pause, that's 16 seconds. That's less than 4 breaths a minute. So that's really slowing your breath down. Now, that might be too big of a leap. If you're breathing 25, 30 breaths,
you're all anxious.
Down to 4, you might want to gradually go. So the way you do that is you simply extend the exhales.
Oh, okay.
So you use like a shushing breath. Now I'm lengthening my exhale, lengthening my exhale, lengthening my exhale, which is slowing down my overall breathing rate. So that's way the anti-anxiety breath. Breathe slowly, just take your time, breathing in slowly, breathing out slowly. But if you want to maximize that potential in the moment, then lean into the exhale and extend the exhales. And you're getting your nervous system to calm down, just like a person shushes somebody in church when they want the kids to sit still and be quiet. Go, shh.
All right, okay.
Slow down, calm down, quiet down. And that's exactly what's happening to the nervous system when you lengthen the exhale. You're triggering the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system, and that's the rest and digest and recover. So in the moment, get a handle on your breath, taking a breath through your nose, and very consciously give yourself a sigh of relief. I mean, it's not an accident why we call it a sigh of relief. You're feeling this
true.
Long breath in, and a long breath out. You just took a sigh of relief. That reduces anxiety immediately. And then you just repeat it.
Gotcha.
Just do that a few times. So now your system, each breath is realigning your system away from the fight or flight and anxiety and more into safety and security and groundedness. So that's immediate. You get a handle on the breath, immediately that anxiety, you're now controlling it.
Right. Awesome. I love that. And one thing,
you got to do the self-talk thing. You can't just, if you're taking that breath and you're reinforcing negative thoughts, then you're using that power against yourself. So
you read my mind. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, what is your thought process there? Are you thinking, my favorite place in Cabo, or what is that? What you're are you talking about that, or what is?
If you're going to encourage someone, uplift and support someone, what kind of coaching would you give them in the minute? You got this. You got it. You can do it. Those encouraging kind of self-talk. You're coaching yourself. I got this. Easy day. I've dealt with more difficult things than this and got out. Right. Whatever you need to tell yourself while you're breathing to get rid of that negative self-talk or neutralize it.
So similar to the reframing, basically.
Yeah. And here's where you're your best cheer squad. Mark Devine, Navy SEAL friend of mine, commander, when he was getting towards the end of his rope, having trouble keeping up, he starts singing to himself, looking good, feeling good, ought to be in Hollywood. Looking good, feeling good,
like that.
Be in Hollywood. Now that's the kind of interruption that goes against performance-degrading self-talk and thoughts that haven't even formed, but you're feeling like, I don't know if I can make it, this is too much. And now you're actually proactive and throwing in this wild, positive kind of framing. That's fantastic in that moment.
I like that. Yeah. And I guess that
you got to also, so it's a spirit, mind, body, a breath, mind, body approach. You have to be literally releasing muscles and softening and loosening joints.
Right.
You're holding tension in your body. It locks the anxiety in your system. So you got to be also loosening up physically as you're reframing and affirming. and as you're breathing. So it's kind of a three-pronged approach. And then then it's guaranteed to shift your state.
That's awesome. Awesome. That's that's perfect. That's exactly what I needed. I appreciate that. Another thing that that you had said that just really opened my eyes, and I don't know if there's any like actual information about this out there, but to verify, but the release of toxins. You had mentioned that 70% of the release of toxins is through your breath. Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really, I didn't fact check it, but that seems so exorbitant. Like, it blew my mind.
A metabolic waste. Every organism, biological, it needs to excrete waste. If it doesn't, all that waste accumulates and toxins kill you. So yes, 3% of our metabolic waste is eliminated through defecation, bowel movements, 7% through urination, about 20% through perspiration. We're detoxing constantly by sweating.
Right.
That leaves 70%, which is released. Toxins, metabolic waste is released through respiration. Yeah, it's a rule of thumb. It's about, but the percentages are right around pretty close.
Yeah. That blew me away. I've been working on people that do these these things to release the toxins, and and I'm trying to sweat a lot, and I'm working on my bowel movements and all this stuff. I mean, damn, I should have been working on my breathing 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's never too late. If you think good bowel movements are working up a sweat are healthy, you got to think about breathing.
Yeah, I think that's great, and that's something that I wanted my subscribers also to hear and realize it's not only about anxiety. The other thing, the next thing that comes to mind for me is a big problem with all over the country or all over the world is Alzheimer's. And the breathing techniques. Can you explain how that would help a person? Not only, part of it is getting rid of the toxins, but also when you're in these states where maybe your partner's going through and you can get them to get into some breathing techniques. Can you explain to us how that would help?
Well, it's funny that years ago, when I first heard the term, I thought they said old timers disease. Old timers get it, so
my family called it Winsheimer's. So,
there are so many layers to that. If your identity is locked up in doing certain things, and now you can't do those things, it produces a just terrible psychological, emotional state. So you have to learn to age gracefully. Don't fight with life. You waste a lot of energy when you fight with life, and it's difficult to admit limitations. I'm one of those holding out.
You and me both. That's why. I
don't want to admit limitations. I don't want to invite them, and I don't want to buy into them. But the way life moves through, you start realizing, hey, I'm not 21 years old anymore, and I can't seem to be as quick or fast or strong as I used to be. So you adjusting to that. I've seen in the Alzheimer's world, the relatives have more trouble dealing with it than the person who's suffering from it in a lot of times.
True. That's true. They're caretakers.
Out the window, watching the birds or whatever's going on inside. They don't seem to have a problem until and unless it comes to the interaction time, and But the same thing with dementia. Those things that come late in life. I can remember my wife was taking care of her mother, and she was experiencing dementia. And she said, "Yo, what's your name?" Says Gulu. She says, "Oh, my daughter's name is Gulu." Said, "I am your daughter." And that kind of stuff. That's where that's where the suffering comes. And so,
if you don't laugh, you'd be crying, right? I
mean, there it is. There it is. The sense of humor.
Right.
God, they'll save your life in certain moments. Yeah. So, but breathing, notice which way you go out of balance, right? When you get stressed, when you get upset, do you tend to overbreathe and your breath gets high and shallow, or do you literally hold your breath? Knowing that about yourself, you know already which way to coach yourself. You know, like, okay, I've been holding my breath for a while. I should
Right.
take a few minutes and breathe. Or I notice that I'm going, okay, whoa, 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 whoa. So
Slow her down.
that's observing yourself and knowing if you're going to go out of balance, which way are you going to go? And you know that about yourself, then you can guard against it. You can stay ahead of it by remembering to breathe. And
Right.
5 minutes, it has to be a ritual. I think people need to. How long does it take to brush your teeth or shave or do your shower in the morning? I mean, there's a certain amount of time that goes towards that. You have to make
Right.
breathing. You got to fit breathing into there and give it at least 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I mean, minimum 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, I agree. That's I mean that's part of my morning routine, and I wanted to get to a little bit about what I do and get your opinions. And you've already touched on it. I've so my morning routine is starting with hydration, exercise, and grounding. And when I go, grounding is my last. Grounding and breath work are my last two. And I ground when I'm outside. I try to ground and breathe outside. Those are my two biggest things. But what I was doing, and I did and I didn't get as much wellness effect as I did in the evenings when I'm trying to slow down my breath, was I taking these like super high intake breaths and out like 10 times, and then the last one hold, and then I did 4 sets of 10 of those, and to the point where when I first started, I felt lightheaded and was about to get felt like I possibly passing out, and I quit doing so much of that, and started on because it's after exercise, so I'm really just trying to slow myself down, and I would find that I was more amped up after that, doing the deep breaths instead of calming down after all the exercising. What are your thoughts on a morning routine? What's your morning routine? That'd be nice to hear.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wake up to my breath. So as soon as I'm in that in between place where I realize I'm awake, I'm in between sleep and waking, I could go back to sleep or I could wake up. I love being in that place. And so that's when I just connect with my breath. How does it feel to breathe? What's my breath doing? Just touching in on it, just practicing pure breath awareness, not breathing in any certain way, experiencing the breath. And then that becomes the quality that you put into whatever breathing exercise. So I'm breathing right now, and I don't have to breathe in any special way. But if I tune into my breathing, and I tune into the places, the tip of the nose, the bridge of the nose, my sinuses and skull, my throat, high up in my chest, around my heart area, my lower ribs, down in my belly. If I just feel the breathing from all those places, tune into the breath, and notice how the breath is already touching all those places and it's producing sensations and it's flowing. I want to come home to that. I want to wake up to that. I want to come home to it at night before I go to sleep, and I want to wake up to it in the morning when I get up. I'm connecting to my body, what's happening in my body. I'm connecting to my mind, my emotions, just by connecting to the breath. So I want to become fully involved, totally involved in the breathing. And so no matter what breathing exercise you do, and you just mentioned a couple of breathing in 10 big breaths and holding, the only way I would tweak that is I would make it more of a meditation than an exercise, or at least equally as much a meditation. So when I take in those 10 breaths, I want to be very conscious of what muscles I'm using, what spaces are being filled. Is the breath able to really expand? Can I open around that breath? How much effort am I using? How much muscular effort am I using to accomplish the breath? So I would turn it into a meditation. It's an active meditation. It's a dynamic meditation.
Right.
But I'm very, very conscious and sensitive of details. So I'm not just, it's like when you're looking out the window of a train and things are going by so fast, you can't see anything.
Yeah,
So
that's what I feel honestly when I'm doing that. That's exactly the way I look. All that's rushing and rushing out and rushing, and then like I just feel like it was. Yeah, I didn't really. I don't know. I haven't got so maybe, feeling what parts of the body it touches. I'm gonna
how
use
much
that and just
effort you're using, what muscles you're engaging, where does the breath exactly go? What does it touch? Is my body opening around the breath, or am I forcing the breath in? Do I pull the breath in, or do I just make space inside of myself and the breath pours in? It's a dance between being breathed and doing the breathing. And that's where all the magic, and that's where the power and the potential in breath work is unlocked, is through that awareness,
mm,
conscious awareness of not just breathing, but how are you breathing and how are you accomplishing it? What are you putting into it and what are you not putting into it? What are you missing? What are you blowing right over without realizing? How conscious are you of subtle details? That's where now when you breathe, you can do a lot because you've
right,
expanded your awareness, you've deepened your awareness, you've raised your awareness, and
right, right.
that quality of
I mean,
awareness makes all the difference.
yeah. Thank you so much. That is right on point, and I'm excited to try that. I'm gonna try that this afternoon when I go on my walk. So that's great. Now that brings me to something you brought up that I don't quite understand is the rebirthing breathing technique. Can you help me out with that a little bit? Because it sounds interesting. I just
Yeah.
can't grasp it. I can't.
Well, rebirthing breathwork was the catalyst for just about every modern school or style. You Google breathwork in the world right now, and you'll find all kinds of alchemy of breath, clarity breath, gamma breath, ceremonial breathwork.
It's all over the board.
Right. But what they all owe is a debt to Leonard Orr and the rebirthing technique. He's the father of the modern breathwork movement. Rebirthing, it was originally called rebirthing. And because when people practice this, it was a way of breathing. When they practice it, they felt like they were in a whole new body. They felt like they were literally like they dropped a whole lot of trauma and stress from their system. The doors of their perception opened up. The colors were brighter. They felt lighter. It's as if they've been carrying some heavy thing their whole life and it was suddenly released. And so the term rebirthing sort of was the way that people talked about it.
That's just the way they could describe it. That's their
Yeah.
feeling.
But it
Gotcha.
was kind of like there was a lot of new agey woo-woo stuff. And there's even born again Christian. We don't want to get confused with that. And but the technique itself is a conscious, connected, circular breathing. Now,
Const-
in the special forces world, that's actually called tactical breathing. So
oh,
they're practicing the rebirthing technique. Now, when the diaphragm contracts, it causes an inhale. When the diaphragm relaxes, it causes the exhale. So we say we breathe in and our diaphragm contracts. Well, the diaphragm contracts and it flattens and it lowers, which creates a vacuum in the lungs, which causes the air to get sucked in. Then
okay.
when the diaphragm relaxes, it resumes its dome shape. It comes back up under the ribs and then it's pushing the air out. So knowing that, rebirthing breathwork was a conscious inhale. That means you are pulling the breath in at the time when your diaphragm is contracting and causing the inhale. So you're harmonizing with your nature, right?
Okay.
Way, you're choosing to breathe in at the moment when your diaphragm contracts and triggers an inhale. So you're in harmony with your nature. And then when you let go and relax and your diaphragm releases, again, now you're in natural harmony. And so when you stay in that natural harmony continuously beyond a certain threshold, all kinds of things open up to you.
Right.
It's pretty remarkable. But a lot of shit happens to you along the way. That active breathing is bringing up all the stored trauma, all the tension that's stored in the muscles, all the suppressed emotions of a lifetime. The breath starts bringing all that shit up.
Right.
And then what most people do is they hold their breath and they tense up to kind of control those emotions, which are, yo, my house is burn down. Ah! And instead, what we did is we encouraged people to just breathe like crazy in that moment instead and take it over the top. And people experience these remarkable almost miraculous.
That sounds amazing.
It is. It's very, very powerful. But it's part of it is voluntary controlled hyperventilation.
Okay.
So, right. It's kind of controlled hyperventilation. And that has a whole package. When you hyperventilate, you create a package of feelings and sensations and emotions that are very interesting, very exciting, can be scary for some people, but it's actually ecstatic in nature. When you hold your breath, you generate a completely different package.
Sort of lock it in, right? Like you're just
and chemistry too. When I hold my breath, all the symptoms and everything that I produce, that package of reactions and feelings and emotions that's related to breath holding, when you hyperventilate, you create a whole completely different package. And what you described about taking 10 full breaths, which is hyperventilation, followed by a breath hold, well, that's like a Wim Hof kind of approach. That's an ancient approach. Hyperventilation, breath holding. Hyperventilation, breath holding. And that's how you create this broad foundation. You're getting comfortable with the whole range of things.
So I just need to work on the consciousness part. It's okay to do that. And that's sort of the rebirthing technique. I just need to be a more conscious breather while I'm doing it.
Yeah. And the rebirthing breath is meant to be done with a coach. The average session is probably in an hour. You're going to breathe in, active inhale, passive exhale. And you're just going to continue that no matter what you think, no matter what you feel, no matter what happens. And the body gets tangled up in all the symptoms and you're sweating and everything. But if you keep going, all that stuff that comes up releases. And afterwards, you're in this amazingly light, ecstatic state.
How long does that last? You're saying an hour. You don't do that for an hour, right? You
do it for an hour.
Right. That breathing for an hour? Yes, oh, my gosh. Holy cow. Yeah, I'd be afraid to do that. That's why it's
so transformational. Most breathing techniques have a threshold. Like if you're going to practice box breathing, for example, you might need to do box breathing for 2 or 3 minutes to really trigger the balancing of the sympathetic and parasympathetic. That's why box breathing is so good.
Right.
The inhale equals the exhale, which means you're balancing sympathetic with parasympathetic. You're holding the breath at the top and you're pausing at the bottom, which gives you a feeling of being in control because you are in control. So it sets you up for a beautiful psychological, emotional, and physiological state.
Wow, that's cool.
Everything is done for the purpose of transformation. It's done for the purpose of, say, spiritual purification, of purging of accumulated stresses and tensions and pent-up emotions and unexpressed communications and withheld energy, and all that stuff is trapped in your nervous system. And now the breath, like a rotor-rooter, comes through, cleans all that shit out.
Right.
So you go through what you could call an emotional, psychological detox in an hour.
Right.
With a real physiological detox, it's very physical.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if I could, I don't know if I could do that.
Millions and millions of people.
Really?
I've had 300,000, more than that, people in 75 countries. It's it's a natural thing. It really is.
Okay.
And once people, and they start feeling
once you experience it, you probably will never go without it, right? Yeah, I mean that's I've heard that.
And it's about
the breathing techniques.
It's about energy. People are always talking about energy. Rebirthing breathwork, it gives you. It's not philosophical. It's not intellectual. It feels like you got plugged into an electric socket, and you're buzzing. Your body is buzzing with energy. And when you relax into that energy, oh my God, then that's where then people have to reach for spiritual language, religious words. It's such
they can't even describe it, right? Yeah.
I love it. And it's
cool.
And I try to teach it first, because if you get 5 or 10 rebirthing breathwork sessions under your belt, no matter what other breathing exercise or technique that you do, you're going to get a lot more benefit out of them.
Okay. You sort of learn the process then. You know what you're
Yeah,
looking
you're
for, I
getting
guess.
comfortable.
You get your feeling. Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Well,
Because
I'm gonna have to go down that path.
how we react to our feelings and sensations is everything. The feeling and sensation in and of itself, could be like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Well, no.
That's what I feel like I would think. I
God
mean,
is healing me. It's the same feeling, but depending on how you think about it, how you talk. So this gives us a way to really manage our energy.
reframe. You have to reframe that feeling.
That's it.
There we go. Well, hey, I don't want to. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy man, and I don't want. I've taken up. I usually try to keep these things within 45 minutes, and we're at that mark. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of your work. What you got going on.
Yeah, thank you. Breathmastery.com. Go to breathmastery.com. I'm on Instagram at Dan Brulé Official. You can find me on Facebook, Dan Brulé Breath Mastery. But if you start on my website, that'll lead you everywhere else. Or if you start at Instagram at Dan Brulé Official, that'll get you really far.
Yeah, I just started. Well, I haven't just started. I just downloaded your book and looking forward to diving into that. I would love to get into more of the breath work. So I will. I'm sure I'll be in touch with you soon. And I really, like I said, this has been. I've learned something every time I either look at your content or, in this case, talk with you. I learn something every time. So much appreciated.
That 21-day challenge in the back of my book, Just Breathe, you can't breathe for 21 days and not change your life. It's impossible.
Perfect. All right, Dan. Thank you so much. I want to thank my sponsor, Wentz Insurance Agency, for all your insurance needs. 740-653-5535. Again, Dan, you're a godsend to humanity. I really appreciate you a lot.
Thank you.
Have a great day, and I'll be in touch.
Very good. Ciao, everybody.
Thanks.